about a question that I've been, like, not really a question, but like something I've been thinking about lately, right? That I've heard a lot of people talk about, right? And it's this, like the reason behind why a lot of black women are very independent, and why they sometimes carry this like attitude where they don't need a man, or different things like that, right? And I thought about myself from my own experience, like because I've always been a very like independent type person, and a lot of it came from a young age. I learned that I couldn't really depend on people, or I learned from my family and how they treated me was like, okay, if you want help with something, it's gonna come with stipulations, and it's gonna come with like, you have to basically kiss up to us, or you have to accept certain things that we do, right? And just be quiet about it. And so I never liked that, I never liked feeling like people had that type of control over me, where I had to, in order to get help, or I had to do something, or I had to not do something, or not speak up on something. So that's kind of where I learned from early on that I have to go get things myself and do it myself, and then as I got older, I started to realize, like, even with men that maybe I was friends with and things like that, unless you're sleeping with a person, unless you're giving a person some behind, say it to keep it PG, they're not gonna help you, and it made me understand too why you see a lot of women like selling behind. Now, me personally, I never did it, but I can kind of see when you're in a desperate situation, right? And you're in survival mode, and you're just worried about, let's say, paying your rent or feeding your children or something, why you might turn to something like escorting or prostituting or things like that. Now, me, I never turned to those things, but I can see, how desperation can make people do desperate things at desperate times, and it's sad because if you don't have someone in your life that you can really just call on, let's say if you need a couple dollars and you need some help, what you going to do, right? Unless you know how to really go out there and hustle and get it, but even with that, things happen, right? But I've always just been blessed and covered, and to be in a position where God made a way, where I didn't have to turn to things that to selling myself or selling my body, but I don't knock those women, I don't judge those women who do, because like I said, I've been in desperate situations, I've been in survival mode, I just chose to trust God, and not turn to the streets, or to other things that that I will regret later, but so back to this concept, of being too independent, you know. It's like I've just always felt like I've been forced to, and I never really felt like I had someone I really could depend on to go to if I really was in a bind or really needed something. And so that from early on made me just be this type of woman where, you know what, I'm not even going to ask for help. I'm just going to go and get it myself, or do whatever I need to do, whether that's work 2 or 3 jobs at a time, you know. I just have to hustle harder. So that was always just my mindset about it. And I think that a lot of black women experience that, you know. And you know, it's sad that, you know, like I said, with men, a lot of times you can't get no help unless you're giving something up, you know. And most of the time it's, you know, your body. So what do you expect? You know, how do you, for the women that don't want to do that, like myself, you know, who don't want to go that route, who don't want to stoop to that level and sacrifice their morals and their values, what do you do, right? Because you're not willing to sell your behind, you're not willing to go strip, you're not willing to go be an escort, you're not willing to, you know, walk the block. So what do you do? That's my question. What do you do? You feel me? When you have nobody else to turn to, you go to God. That's what I do. So anyway, that's my word for the day. It was just something that had been on my mind, so I wanted to share it. But anyway, have a blessed day.